Hello. Welcome to the first visual episode of Facts with Dak. We are starting season 2 off with something that I have been working for since I started doing this podcast, and I am happy that we are finally here. I am definitely going to be tweaking some things as we go, as I learn how to edit a little bit better with the video. I'm going to be tweaking my space a little bit. I've definitely had some things come up in my personal life that have thrown me some curves over the last couple weeks. And so my setup for the podcast in a visual term is a little bit different than what I had planned, but that's okay. You know, we're taking life as it comes. We're pivoting when we need to. But for now, this is going to be the setup. I am stoked to actually be doing the visual aspect of this podcast after talking about it for like 8 months. I made it through all of season 1 with the audio. I got very comfortable with editing that and recording that. And I was like, oh, easy peasy. This is going to be fine. Whatever. Like, I just have to sit in front of the camera instead. Let me tell you, this was definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Getting like the lighting right and the like setting behind me, having the chair not making any noise. I am someone that moves constantly, basically. Like, I cannot sit still. And so trying to figure out a chair situation where it wasn't like creaky or like the fabric wasn't making a bunch of noise or something like that, it took me a little bit with my pivot. Okay. So I am extra proud to be here right now, having to do some kind of last minute planning for the visual setup from what I had originally planned out. It's been a bit of a ride, but I am here. We're doing it. The visual is here. You're watching me right now. And so that's pretty fucking cool. So I am going to kind of make this a little bit of an intro episode. If you have not been here along for the journey for season 1 up until now, welcome. Thank you so much for watching this and for spending your time with me today. I am so grateful that I get to share my thoughts and my opinions and my experiences this way. And I'm even more excited to bring a visual aspect because I personally connect a lot more with content when I'm seeing the person that I'm listening to. I do love a good podcast, but if there's a visual aspect to it, I definitely tend to lean further that way. So I am happy to be adding that to my own podcast. And I hope that you enjoy this episode. If you're brand new, thank you for joining me. If you've been following along since the very beginning, since episode 1 of season 1, thank you so much. I can't even believe the fact that I'm like doing the 11th episode of my podcast right now, starting a second season of it. This one will be a little bit more in depth, a little bit longer. My episodes will have some guests thrown in. So I'm just elated, honestly. I'm very excited to be doing this. I'm excited to be sitting down right now in this like little cozy corner of my home. And it's really cool. I am feeling humbled and grateful and excited to hop into this episode. Okay, so we are going to hop right into it. My last couple episodes have kind of been little life updates. I haven't really planned them out or had like a theme necessarily. And those actually get the most views and the most commentary, and I get the most feedback about them. Most of it's very positive. I haven't had any like negativity per se come my way, but y'all seem to love the personal like life update, what's going on in my life and what I have been up to episodes. So I figured that starting season 2 off with a life update would be good. We're just going to kind of hang out and chat for a little bit. This will be a little bit shorter because I just want it to kind of be an intro to the season. I've got my cozy coffee that I always have. I'm trying to figure out how to like lay out my stuff because ideally this would be like here for me to grab so I don't have to turn around. But you know what? It's reality. It's life. Not everyone's perfect. I don't have like thousands of dollars to spend on a recording studio. So, you know, we're just going to be cozy about it in this little corner of my home. Oh, my coffee is finally at a temperature that I can actually drink, which is fantastic. I've mentioned this before, but I am a big wimp with hot drinks. So typically I'll like make my coffee before I've even started the task that I'm making the coffee for. Because if I make the coffee when I'm ready and I want to drink it, it's too hot and I'm just grumpy about it. So instead, I'll make my coffee and then I'll kind of like set up my task. I spent about like half an hour, 40 minutes kind of like putting together this little corner this morning. And I made my coffee before I started that. And now that I'm sitting here, it's like perfect temperature for me to drink. So I'm here with my cozy blanket. I'm here with my cozy coffee. I'm here with my water to keep me hydrated. And we are going to talk about what I've been doing, what I've been up to, how I've been feeling. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have been pretty low. I'm feeling a little bit better this morning. It helps that there is a little bit more sunshine. It got really cold on us again for a couple days too, which never helps, especially when you're someone that deals with seasonal depression to begin with. When you kind of like see that opening and that like spring is coming, you get that warmer little bit of weather, and then it turns back into the really cold weather. It's kind of defeating almost. I'm ready for the sunshine. I'm ready to feel some warmth from the sun. I'm over the cold. I'm over the snow. And I just want to be able to like do the things that I love. And a lot of those things are outside. So I'm anticipating spring, but I have been in the depths. I'm going to be honest. I have been feeling very depressed. I've been having a very hard time getting out of bed in the morning. And I know that this is a heavy thing to start the podcast off with, but I'm going to be real regardless of what else is going on or what the plan for the day is. I'm just going to be upfront and honest. That's what this podcast is about. I'm going to share my experiences, and hopefully that will help some of you cope or manage or deal with your stuff as well. So, yeah, I've just been feeling really sad. I had talked in my last couple episodes of season 1 about what I was going through in my personal life. I'm not going to get into details about that because I just respect other people too much. And I'm not here to spill any tea on anyone because tea stains, and I make a mess out of my clothes enough because I am clumsy. I don't need to be spilling any extra tea and putting any stains. Okay. So I am still grieving. You know, grief is not linear. I experienced some heartbreak a couple months ago, and I have just been taking that as it comes. It's a really weird one because grief is so up and down and it presents so differently for every person. And I had kind of been super low, and then I started to come up a little bit, and then I kind of tanked a little bit again. And yeah, I would say the last 2 to 3 weeks, I have been mentally not well. I am struggling quite a bit to get through the day to day. I've been trying to take a little bit more time off of social media because, to put it blankly, the state of the world right now is not helping my mental state. I'm finding it difficult to balance real life with the bombardment of like propaganda and horrible media and kind of doomsday feel that politics and the general world has going right now. I'm definitely not one to shy away from sharing opinions or anything like that. I think if you've been listening, you definitely know where I sit on things. I am not a Trump fan. I don't see how you could be at this point. Honestly, it's a gnarly situation, and I think that there's some dangerous shit going on right now. And I'm not going to get into that today because I need to protect my mental space a little bit. I will still be vocal and opinionated where I need to be, but I've been taking a little bit of space from that because I was getting so pulled into the depths of social media. I am someone who curates my algorithm very carefully. If I see something I don't like, and that's not to say that I don't agree with it, but if I see something that I don't like that I think is harmful, whether it's to me or to other people, I hide it and like report whatever it is. They give you options when you like go to hide something. It's like it's inappropriate, it's relevant, blah blah blah. So I fill that out. I'm very careful with my algorithm. But what that ends up doing is, I think what happens to a lot of us, honestly, I've had some conversations about this, but it just puts you in this little bubble where, at least for myself, I was finding that I would open up Instagram or Facebook. Those are the only two that I have. So I would open up one of those and just be like flooded with posts about bad things that are happening and what we can do to fight against them, protests, charities, anything like that. It was just, that was kind of all that was in my feed, because I've been interacting with a lot of that content for the last, I don't know, I would say like 2 years. And while I do want to be up to date and informed and educated on all the things that are happening in the world around me, I was getting so sucked into the mentality that the internet holds. And I think that that is contributing to my mental state right now, because I had to take a step away from it, because I just got sucked into such like the world is awful, people are awful, there is so much like evil and just like horrible shit happening right now everywhere, that I was having a hard time stepping out of that and being present in my real life, because I was just flooding myself with so much of this information from like news outlets and social media. And like I said, I want to be educated and I want to be informed and I want to be up to date, but finding the balance of doing that and still being present in your everyday life and appreciative of your everyday life and the people that are in it, and not getting caught up in the negativity, is really tough. And as someone that deals with mental illness and depression, like anyways, outside of that, having that extra weight was definitely holding me down. And I've noticed in the last week or so that I've been quite strict on my social media use. I have started to feel a little bit better. It's bringing me out of the depths a little bit, step into reality, get out of the internet. The internet is not an evil place in itself, but there is a lot of negativity and a lot of animosity and a lot of violence that happens on social media, through social media, and having yourself sucked into that, like basically for 2/3 of your day, every day, is so nasty for your mental health, that I have really been trying to curb that for myself. Really been trying to limit my time on social media and also just like interact with content that is not political. um I had like gotten my algorithm to a point, like I said, where it was just like majority political posts, and I love being informed, but it was getting me. It was getting me down. And it's absolutely a privilege to turn that off and step away from social media and be able to kind of ignore that. It's absolutely a privileged position to be in, that I'm able to be like, you know what? This is really weighing heavily on me. I need to take some space from this, and I'm able to do that. And I struggle with that too, because I am someone that believes in using my privilege to uplift the people that my privilege disadvantages. And I'm at this like internal war with myself right now about being present in reality and stepping out of the political bubble and not spending all of my time stuck there in being an advocate or an ally, or just spreading information, or just taking part in conversations that are political, because I do enjoy doing that. But it absolutely is a heavy weight to bear when that is all you're doing with all of your time. And so I'm trying my best to find a balance there, while I'm still feeling like I'm educated and up to date, but I'm not allowing it to consume me and affect my mental state, especially when I'm in a place in my life where I'm already not 100%. And I don't really have the mental capacity to take on that extra weight. And that's hard. That's super hard because I want to take part. I want to be present, not only in my reality, but in other people's reality as well. I'm someone that feels empathy quite strongly. And I think that that comes from my own trauma. It's kind of a catch 22, but I've been struggling quite a bit with trying to find the balance with, you know, being present in my own life, but also doing what I can to help the people around me, help my community, and however large of a scale I can help on, um, you know, I want to be doing that. So that's been weighing on me. I have been trying really hard. I'm sure that if you are someone that follows my page on social media, you've probably noticed that it's been really quiet. I have not been working as much. I have not been doing really anything, to be completely honest. I've been playing a lot of video games. I have been sleeping a lot. I have been trying to lean into my comforts. But it's getting to the point where I can recognize that my coping mechanisms and my management skills are not getting me back to at least like balance. We're human. We're never going to be like 100% chill. I mean, if you are, I love that for you. But as someone that is mentally ill, that's just not a thing for me. Like I'm just not like 100% person. um, but I would like to be up there in like the 90s, the 80s, the 90s, doing pretty good. So I think I'm getting to the point where I am ready to hop back into like regular, consistent therapy and kind of try to sort through all of the things that I am struggling with, whether it's on a personal level or a grand scale of like what my place in the world should look like or what I want it to look like. And unfortunately, my therapist is retiring. I've been seeing her for a couple years now, handful of years, and I love her. Shout out Susan. She's the bomb. But she is retiring, and so I am devastated. Number one, because even just like finding her in the first place was quite a journey. It took me quite a long time to find a therapist that I felt comfortable with, that I felt aligned with. And so I am a little hesitant and I'm a little bit nervous about starting to look for another therapist. It took me 5 or 6 before I ended up finding Susan. And it was also in a very similar time where I was dealing with something really difficult in my personal life. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't think I can manage this by myself. I think I need some professional help. And when you're already in that space and you're already feeling really low and you need that support, it's tough to navigate finding a therapist that fits with you because it can feel extra defeating when you're already at the place where you need that support and you're unable to find it. And I will say I have phenomenal family and friends. They've all been really supportive, and I'm very fortunate in that way to have people that I can lean on. But sometimes it takes a pro, They go to school and they educate themselves specifically on how to deal with the brain. And so sometimes you just got to go pro about it, okay? You just do it, just like the water bottle. So I am going to start navigating that. I've done BetterHelp a little bit, which is like this app that you can do therapy through. But I just personally, I like having more of a relationship. I don't like it through the app. During COVID, I did some like remote therapy too through Skype and stuff. And it does the job, I guess, but I don't favor it. And at this point in my life, I'm like, if I'm going to be paying like hundreds of dollars for this person to be like talking with me, I may as well be in the same room as them. So I'm going to be hunting for a new therapist. If anyone has any recommendations, I would love to hear them. Of course, like therapy is kind of a weird one as far as like recommendations and referrals, because sometimes it's almost like a like confidentiality or like I don't know. People are sometimes weird about it, and not weird in like a bad way, but like if you are my friend and you don't want me seeing the same therapist you do, that's chill. Like I'm okay with that. So, if anyone does have any recommendations, even for like a clinic or like a practice that they love and would like advocate for, um, I'm here for it. Let me know. I'll do some digging. I've already got a couple names on my lists to do like interviews with, but I haven't actually gone to meet anyone yet. So that is on my list of to-dos. I'm really out here right now just surviving. We are not thriving over here right now. And that happens. I'm a human. I am not always going to be at 100%. Like I said, I'm not always going to be 90% or 80%. And when life is kind of kicking you a little bit, when you're already down, it is hard to get back up. And I am feeling that. I'll be very honest with you this episode. I have a lot of things to be really grateful and really excited for, and I'm just not feeling that joy right now. Even this morning, getting up, I'm so glad that I came to this space and like set all this up and did this anyways, because this morning I was so close to just canceling this and just not doing it and pushing it back to another day. And I'm really proud of myself for just doing it and pushing through, because now that I'm sitting here, I'm glad that I did this. And, I put a little makeup on, I like did my hair, and doing those little things for yourself just like reinforces that I am worthy of being shown up for. And I believe in that because I show up for myself. If I had canceled, I probably would have felt pretty bummy about it later and been like, dang, you should have just done it. Like, then it would be done and you would feel good about it. You'd be stoked about it. And like, I like the editing process and stuff. So I would be doing that and I'd be stoked. And so I'm just glad that I did this today. I'm trying to push through the depression. I'm trying to push through the low and, just take life as it comes right now, get through the day to day. If you are also feeling like this right now, regardless of the reason, I am absolutely here for as much support as possible, whether that's coming to me or whether I'm giving it. That sense of like support and community can be really helpful. I know even yesterday I was in at work for a minute and I was like having one of those mornings where I just was like not able to keep myself together. And I had a really hard time getting ready. I did not want to go into work. I was honestly dreading it. And I literally had one client. It was one client and it was a super quick appointment that I just like kind of threw in the day because it like worked with the schedule. And I was like, whatever, I'll just come in for you. So I only had to be there for like 45 minutes. It wasn't even a long day. And my friend that I work with came up to my studio room and asked how I was doing. And I just like instantly started to cry. And it kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I had kind of like got myself together enough that I was like at work and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm at work now. It's fine. I'll get through my client and then I'll go home. I can just like be for the rest of the day. But no, of course, it's like, I feel like it always happens like when you're trying so hard like to keep it together and you're having a really hard time regardless of what it is, there's always that like person or that family member that just like knows that you like, they can just like sense it, that you like need that little bit of support even if you're not totally ready for it. And I feel like my friend just like could sense that I just needed her to like come up and talk to me for a second, even though I was like, everyone leave me alone. um and so yeah, I just like instantly, it was just like I couldn't even fake a like I'm good or like I'm okay. Things are fine. Like those words couldn't even come out of my mouth because I am just in the depths right now. And my friend, she has been a really close friend of mine for a long time now and she knows me very well and she knows everything that's going on in my life and of course has all the details and everything. And so she just gave me a bit of a reminder that like even when you feel really alone and things feel really hard, that just taking some time to be with yourself and give yourself the care that you need can be super rewarding. And she recommended a couple things for me. There's a couple videos she sent me that are like motivational speaker kind of stuff. There's a couple books she's recommended. And we didn't even have to talk about what was wrong, which I think for me was really helpful. Because a lot of people, I think, when you're struggling, whether it's depression or grief or heartbreak or whatever is on your plate at the moment, lots of people want to help you solve the problem. And that's almost never helpful. Something that I've kind of adopted in all of my relationships is if someone is venting or if I need to vent, starting that conversation with, I'm looking for support or comfort or advice. Because if you come into a conversation and you're saying, like, hey, these things are on my plate, they're really heavy, I'm having a really hard time, I feel like a lot of people's instinct is to help you solve that problem because they care about you and they want to bring you out of the depths that you're in. And while, of course, that's loving and caring and that's where that's coming from, sometimes you just want to hear everything will be okay. You can try this out, but like, I'm here for you. This really sucks right now. I'm sorry you're going through this, but you can do this. You can make it through. Even though it sucks right now, this isn't going to last forever. And that's kind of what my friend had to say to me yesterday. And perspective is everything. I am not one to feed into like the toxic positivity thing. I think that you should feel your feelings and allow yourself to let your emotions live in your body for as long as they need to live there. That's not to say to just like be a lump and like let your body deteriorate because you can't get out of bed. Like, you still have to care for yourself. That's one of the hardest parts of having depression and battling depression, is that life doesn't stop. You still have to keep going. You still have to take care of your body. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. I have definitely been in mindsets where I have just wanted to sit in the mud for a bit. And if you want to do that and you got to sit in the mud for a bit, sit in the fucking mud. Like, I don't think that just because something is hard, I don't think it's necessarily healthy to try and repress or move through or push through emotions faster than you're ready to. I think that that just leads to holding on to pieces of that that are going to come up at times that you're not prepared for. And so, while I do think that you still need to take care of yourself and life moves on, you have to continue doing the day to day as best as you can. The level that is your best is going to change. So if the best that you can do is getting out of bed and recording a podcast in your living room, and that's all you did for the day, that's your best for the day. If your best is getting up at 5, going to the gym, working a full day, doing groceries, cooking a meal, that's great. That's your best for the day. If the next day you lay in bed all day and you watch 5 episodes of whatever show you're into, that's cool too. I don't think that you need to push through the hard stuff faster than you're ready to, because you're really just pushing it away for it to come up another time. So I'm trying to find a balance with letting myself be depressed, letting myself feel low, giving myself the grace to not be at my quote unquote like 100%. I'm not going to be able to show up to social things like I usually would. I'm not going to be able to work as large of a load as I usually would. Getting tasks like laundry or showering or cooking or dishes are more difficult, and they don't get done as consistently as they would when I'm not feeling low. And that's fine. I used to get really down on myself about it. And if I wasn't able to get the things done that I typically would be when I wasn't low, I felt like I was inadequate and like I had failed and I wasn't doing well enough. And that doesn't help you when you're feeling depressed. That does not help. Shaming yourself and piling guilt onto yourself for not being able to operate like a neurotypical person isn't helping. You shouldn't expect yourself to be able to operate like a neurotypical person if you're not neurotypical. And like I said, if your day to day varies because your mental health varies, so fucking what? There is no perfect picture of what your life needs to look like, what you need to be doing every day. You don't need to have a huge morning routine. You don't need to go to the gym 7 days a week. If you want to do these things, do them. If they make you feel good, do them. But if you miss a day or a couple days or for a week, you don't do the dishes because you're depressed as fuck and you're dealing with really hard stuff, it's 1 week or it's 1 day or it's like 3 loads of dishes. Like the world is not going to end. Give yourself some grace. Not only are things really terrible and scary and horrible on a very large scale, like worldwide right now, I know a lot of people are struggling personally, whether it's with finances because the economy is shit, whether it's relationships because of outward influences and the way that we approach relationships in the current generation. You know, there's lots of things that can just kind of take you out. And I think that that's part of the human experience. I don't think that you need to show up in any sort of way other than for yourself. And I think it's the most important to show up for yourself first, especially now. And especially if you're someone that is dealing with depression or mental lows. I know what that feels like. I am there right now and I have been there for the last little bit. And I'm doing my very best to get through it. I'm doing my best to reach out for help and not kind of sink into myself, which is typically what I tend to do. I'm very much a I'll deal with this on myself kind of person. I have a hard time asking for help, and that's something that I'm trying to get better with as I get older and navigate more things as an adult. You can't do things by yourself. You can't do everything by yourself. You need a support system, you need help, and that's okay. You shouldn't have to do everything by yourself on your own, and I don't think that it's healthy to want to do it that way either. I am blessed with a really great support system between my friends and my family. I have a lot of people I can go to, and I'm trying my hardest to go to them because asking for help can be really hard, but I would rather ask for help and be able to manage it than not. Okay, so I'm kind of sick of hearing myself talk about my depression. I also don't want to just sit here and talk about it this whole time because I am trying not to totally sink into it at this point. I allowed myself to have a couple weeks where I just like totally let everything else in the world go and I sunk in and I felt all of the things and I processed a lot of emotions. And even though it's still weighing really hard on my chest, I'm trying to kind of get back into the motion of things. And so we're here. We're doing it. We're not going to talk about the depression directly anymore. I'm probably going to talk about it because that's where I'm at in my life right now. But outside of that, I really don't have many life updates besides the podcast. This is really the only thing that I've still been working on and doing things with or about for the last couple weeks. It has been about a month, I think. I'm pretty sure, since the season 1 finale came out. So I've had about a month to kind of like work on things and do some planning. And like I said, the setup for the visual podcast did not pan out the way that I had originally planned, but we're still here. I'm digging it. I'm cozy. You know, you can see me, and that was the goal. That was the goal. I just want to connect. I just want to make friends. Okay. So we are here. We're doing it. But as spring comes, I am starting to get a little bit out of that like seasonal depression. And so, if there's nicer days out, the ice has started to melt. It's not as dangerous to go walking. I have pretty good winter boots, but it was so cold and icy that like even just going for a walk was like terribly dangerous. So we're kind of at the point now where you can like go for a walk, you can spend some time outside, you can get a little bit of like warmth from the sun on a good day, which is just the best. And so I'm starting to kind of get into like spring cleaning mode. I went through literally all of my possessions and got rid of so much crap. It is wild how much stuff you can accumulate as soon as you're an adult and you like have your own money to buy your own stuff all the time. It's so dangerous. Like the amount of stuff that I had accumulated, even in small places, it's insane. Like I had bins upon bins upon bins of like just Rubbermaids full of different like trinkets, and I had so many plate sets. And I've lived in one place over the last like 10 years, 12 years that I have actually been able to like host people in for like a dinner or like a party or something. I had one place that I could have like 2 or 3 people over. And then I've lived in a home that I could have like my family over. And oh my goodness, like just the amount of stuff that I had to go through. Like there's no reason that I needed multiple sets of plates. There's no reason that I need the largest size of crock pot. There was just so many things that I just didn't need or that hadn't aged well. And that was a hard one. I used to collect pop figures, the like pop vinyl character figures. And I still kind of do. Like some of them are really cool still and I'm into it still, but I have slowed up. I've slowed up on that a little bit. But I found so many that I just like don't care about anymore because I've just gotten a little bit older. I had a Justin Bieber one and I was like, every time I've moved, I look at this Justin Bieber pop figure and I'm just like, I don't want to throw it out because it was a gift from someone. And I appreciate gifts. I'm a weirdo with gifts. I'm like, I can't throw this out. I got this like friendship bracelet from this girl that I haven't spoke to since grade 4, but it was a gift. I can't throw it out. I'm that person. So part of me is like, I can't get rid of this. Like this was a gift. Someone thought of me and like got me this because they knew that at the time I loved Justin Bieber. But I'm like, I'm never going to put this on my shelf again because I'm like no hate for Justin Bieber, but like I'm just not into that vibe anymore. And so I'm like, well, like what am I going to do with this? Like if it's just going to sit in a box, I need to get rid of it. And Marie Kondo doesn't do it for me because I'm holding this Justin Bieber pop vinyl and I'm like, I don't feel joy about this right now. Like I'm not excited to put this up on my shelf and like display Justin Bieber anywhere in my home. But it doesn't make me want to throw it out. Like I don't want to throw it out. And I could not be bothered to try and like sell any of this stuff. I've done a couple of things on like Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji, and it is awful. I cannot handle it. I cannot deal with the scammy people and the people that like say they're going to come and then don't show up. Like just inconsiderate when it comes to Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. My experiences have not been good. So I'm not down with doing that either. And I am also the person that will like load up a bag of clothes or like old toys or something and put it in my car. And I'm like, you know what? Next time I drive by a community living bin or Value Village, I'll just like pop right in and drop these off. That shit will sit in my car. I kid you not, for like 6 months before I actually decide to do something. And then one day I'll be like at the garbage dump or something and be like, you know what? Whatever. I'm here. I'll throw these out. And I don't end up donating them anyways. So I'm trying very hard to get rid of the things that I don't need or that have literally just been like in a box My biggest thing that I'm trying to stick with is if I haven't needed it and I haven't used it in the last like 3 to 6 months, I haven't even like gone to be like, I wonder where that thing is. It gets the boot. I'm over it. I'm not keeping it. Whether it gets like given to someone that is close to me, whether I actually take it and donate it for real, or whether it's just like garbage, depending on what it is. No mercy. I'm showing no mercy for any of my belongings anymore. I've moved so many times in the last 10 years that I just want it to be like the most seamless, easy to handle, like organized situation with labels. And I just, my ADHD cannot handle it anymore. I need to streamline the moving process and just have like what I need to live instead of all of the extras. And that's hard. I'm like a knick-knacky person. I love this shit. Like I built all of the, like put all this together. I love doing that kind of stuff. And I love having little knick-knackies. I love quirky shit. But it takes up so much room. And the dusting is next level. When you go to dust and you got to move like 10 little figures off the shelf and then like remember how you had them figured because they were like sitting in a cool spot. It's too much work. Could not be bothered. Especially, when you're dealing with depression and you like have to talk yourself into brushing your teeth, dusting the shelf with like 10 pop figures on it is not high on the priority list. All right. I'm just being honest. Spring cleaning is a work in progress. It's a work in progress. We're going through the stuff, which is a good start. And I've got 2 big garbage bags of one is to throw out and go in the garbage, and one is to drop off at the community living bin, like 3 blocks from my house. So I'm going to do my absolute best to stick with the donations, get rid of some things, purge some things, get rid of like any extra weight that I just don't need, whether it's possessions or in my brain. We're just purging it all, you know? We are just purging the life of all the things that we do not need. Coming back to myself, trying to recenter. I'm kind of in this place of self-discovery. I turned 30 2 years ago, which now that seems crazy that I'm saying that out loud, but I'm in my early 30s, and everyone kind of talks about how your 30s are when you like come back to yourself, and I am finding that to be true. I just the last even like 2 to 3 years have been very up and down, and I am learning a lot about myself. A lot of it is very uncomfortable and very confronting, and anyone that is doing any inner work or like self work or trying to improve themselves, kudos. This shit is hard. Like wanting to be a better person and evolving and be a better version of yourself is fucking hard. You have to be so honest with yourself, and you have to be so accountable with yourself. If you are fucking up, or your behavior or your mannerisms or whatever you want to talk about, like if you're not proud of how you show up in the world, it's hard work to change that, because a lot of that comes from hard wiring, the way you were raised, the the media that you take in, the people that you're surrounded with. All of those things have a direct impact on who you are as you grow up. And I think that, at least for me, hitting my 30s was kind of like, I got some shit to figure out. Like, I just feel like you kind of hit 30 and you're like, oh, damn, I'm like supposed to be an adult. I'm supposed to have all this shit figured out. And you look around and you're like, man, no one has this figured out. Not a single one of these people has this figured out. And if they do, sorry, but lots of the time they have lots of money and they came from lots of money, and they haven't had to experience life in its like full reality. And so love that for you. But if you are like 90% of the population, that's not how it worked out for you. And it's hard. It's very hard to confront yourself and admit to the mistakes that you've made and take accountability for the mistakes that you've made. Apologize and show up differently. Having to rewire your brain is really hard. We have so many habits and thoughts and ways of living that honestly you don't even realize are wired the way that they are until you start confronting yourself. And a lot of people don't want to do that. That's that's reality. A lot of people have zero interest in confronting themselves, zero interest in taking accountability, and I feel sorry for those people. I it's very hard to confront yourself, but the reward from being able to show up and be generally proud of the way that you interact with people, the way that you impact the world around you. You know, everyone's human, we're all going to make mistakes, but it's the way that you remedy and repair those mistakes, I think, that matters the most. And of course, I'm not necessarily talking about patterns. There's patterns of behavior that if you continue to repeat the same cycle over and over again, you're choosing that. And there is no excuse for that. Um, if you're not actively trying to do the work to repair and change your behavior, that kind of falls on you. That's a you problem. um, but yeah, I'm in this place in my life where I'm done with all the bullshit. I don't care about all the extra stuff. I don't care about like showing up in the world the way that other people think I should, whether that's coming from a place of like jealousy or religion or whatever it is for that person. I just want to be happy with the life that I'm living. I want to do what I love. I want to help the people around me and be a generally good person. And that is all I care about. So I'm just kind of trying to find my space in the world, find out like who I really am at my core, because for a very long time I have struggled with loving myself enough that I put a lot of stock in the way that other people loved me. And so the last, I would say, 5 years of my life have basically been dedicated to trying to figure out who I am and what I want my life to look like. And I'm definitely getting there, but life knocks you. um, I find that, there's always more work to be done. There's always things that you can improve on. There's always more room to grow. And sometimes we don't do that at the pace that we want to. I'm definitely having some struggles with that with myself right now, where I wish I was a little further ahead in a couple of areas so that I could manage things in better ways. But you got to trust the process. You can't rush it. And, you have to kind of give yourself some grace to navigate, especially mental illness and just like life in general, navigating those things in the best way for you, in the healthiest way for you, is the way to go. I think there's lots of people that try to kind of push through it and take the advice of others and like, well, this person dealt with their depression by getting up and running a 5K every morning. That would make me miserable. That would not help me. That would not be something that would be supportive for me. But for someone else, that might totally pull them out and that might be what they need. And so, yeah, this time in my life is nuts. I have no idea what I want to do long term for a career. I have no idea what I want like my relationships to look like long term. I am feeling pretty lost within myself because I am digging up and sorting through a lot of unhealed trauma and behaviors in myself that have brought me to where I am right now that I'm not happy with. So I am in this space of being unhappy with who I have been and trying to become who I know that I can be. And that space in between is deep. It's hard to find a secure identity within yourself when you've spent most of your life pretending to be someone else. And it's not that I'm fully like pretending to be a different person, but there's definitely aspects of my personality and my like interests and the way that I move about the world, the way that I dress myself or do my hair, things like that, that I haven't always done for me. And I'm trying very hard to turn that focus around because I want to follow the advice that I give to other people. There was a bit when I was making episodes for season 1 where I talked really strongly about my beliefs when it came to relationships with people and how you should be treated and what you should be putting up with. And I do believe wholeheartedly in the things that I speak about, but I wasn't following a lot of that advice myself. And it started to feel very hypocritical because I was talking about all of these things and talking about how you should respect yourself and have boundaries and standards. And, you know, I wasn't doing that in real life. And so I got to this place where I started to feel like different versions of me for different things. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to show up differently for different aspects of my life. I want to be myself 100% fully me in all of the things that I do. And so season 2 of the podcast is going to be more self-exploratory. I'm going to be talking about a lot more mental health issues, mine and just in general. I'm going to be getting a lot more personal, especially now that there is a visual aspect and you can see me. Just having that little bit of like extra connection is really important to me. And I think that it'll help me open up a little bit more here too. I want to get deeper. I want to get more personal. I want to talk about the important things that are really hurtful, that are really joyful, anything in between. I don't want to shy away from anything here. So season 2 is going to be different. It's going to be deeper. It's going to be more personal. And it's going to be more fun too. I have some fun guests lined up that I'm really excited to bring on and talk to. We're going to explore a bunch of different topics. There's no topic that I'm afraid of getting into or that I'm shying away from. Anything that I bring here, I'll be as educated as possible about, of course, but I'm excited to bring some people on that are like me, that are different than me, and just form some more connections and kind of heal and explore myself through making this podcast. So I'm just really grateful that you're here along for the ride. Whether you've been here since the first episode or whether this is the first episode that you are listening to or watching, thank you for being here with me, because this is something I've wanted to do for a really long time. And being at the 11th episode, season 2 is kind of crazy. There's been a lot of times in my life where I was not considering the future because I did not think that I would be here for it. And as someone who has been in the depths for the last couple weeks, I'm just grateful that I have a community and a space to lean on. And I'm hoping to grow that through this podcast, not only for myself, but for other people to have more of a community and more support as well. I would love to grow that, not for myself exclusively, but for the other people around me that I know or that I don't know. Life sucks a lot of the time. Life is really hard. And a lot of us are out here just winging it, trying to do the best that we can and survive. And I would just like to help myself get through the day to day and help you get through the day to day. And so this is the start of a friendship. We're friends now, okay? You and I, we're friends. Okay, so we are done. Episode 1 of season 2 of Facts with Dak. I am so stoked. This feels so good to finally have a visual piece of this together. I've been planning this for such a long time. And even though this is not the original setup that I had planned, it worked. I'm very pleased with it. And, we're friends now. We've got the face to face. You can put the face to the name. You can actually see me talking to you. And hopefully, we'll feel a little bit more connected to me through this. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. We will be back to every second Monday now until this season is done. And the season's going to be a little bit longer than the last as well. So we've got more to look forward to. I will be back in a couple of weeks here with the next episode, which is going to be a very exciting one. No spoilers. No spoilers. As we know, I'm really bad for keeping surprises, but no spoilers allowed here. So I will be back in a couple of weeks with the next episode of Facts with Dak. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, share, do all the things to help me get this podcast out into the world. Share this with as many people as you can. And thank you again for spending your time with me today. And hope the rest of your Monday is as magic as you are.